Hello friend! So today we're going to be reading a book I really enjoy, and it's called Diary of a Wimpy Kid Rodrick Rules. It's the second book in the Diary of a Wimpy Kid series, so if you haven't read the first one, you should read the first one as well, but today we're going to read this one. I'm going to read about a chapter for you to help you through it, and yeah, I really like this book. I think it's really funny, and I love the message in it by the end of it. It's really nice. Really nice story about family. Okay, so here we go. So we open up on a Monday morning in September. I guess Mum was pretty proud of herself for making me write in that journal last year, because now she went and bought me another one. But remember how I said that if some jerk caught me carrying around a book with diary on the cover, they were going to get the wrong idea? Well, that's exactly what happened today. You got a picture here of Roderick, his older brother, kicking him for carrying around a diary and calling him a sissy. Now that Roderick knows that I have another journal, I better remember to keep this one locked up. Roderick actually got a hold of my last journal a few weeks back, and it was a disaster, but don't even get me started on that story. Even without my Roderick problems, my summer was pretty lousy. Our family didn't go anywhere or do anything fun, and that's Dad's fault. Dad made me join the swim team again, and he wanted to make sure I didn't miss any meets this year. Dad's got this idea that I'm destined to be a great swimmer or something, so that's why he makes me join the team every summer. At my first swim meet a couple of years ago, Dad told me that when the umpire shot off the starter pistol, I was supposed to dive in and start swimming. But what he didn't tell me was that the starter gun only fired blanks. So I was a whole lot more worried about where the bullet was going to land than about getting myself to the other end of the pool. Even after Dad explained the whole starter pistol concept to me, I was still the worst swimmer on the team. But I did end up winning Most Improved at the awards banquet at the end of summer. That's only because there was a 10-minute difference between my first race and the last one. So I guess Dad's still waiting on me to live up to my potential. There he is. Well, Dad seems pretty proud of him for getting a reward, so that's good, at least, even if it is maybe not so good one. In a lot of ways, being on the swim team was worse than being in middle school. First of all, we had to be at the pool at 7:30 every morning, and the water was always freezing cold. And, second of all, we were all crammed into 2 lanes, so I always had somebody on my tail trying to get around me. The reason we had to use 2 lanes was because swim practice was at the same time as the water jazz class. I actually tried to convince Dad to let me do water jazz instead of swim team, but he wouldn't let me go for it. And here we have a picture of Greg with all the old ladies doing water jazz. Come on ladies, get those arms up! This is the first summer the coach let us boys wear swimming trunks instead of those skimpy racing trunks. But my mum said Roderick's hand-me-down bathing suit was perfectly fine. Greg's getting laughed at by all his friends at the swim team. Oh no. After swimming practice, Roderick would pick me up in his band's van. Mum had this crazy idea that if me and Roderick spent quality time on the ride home every day, we wouldn't fight as much, but all it did was make things a lot worse. Roderick was always half an hour late picking me up, and he wouldn't even let me sit up front. He said the chlorine would ruin his seat, even though the van is something like 15 years old. Roderick's van doesn't actually have any seats in the back, so I had to squeeze in with all the band equipment, and every time the van came to a stop, I had to pray I didn't get my head taken off by one of Roderick's drums. I ended up walking home every day instead of getting a ride from Roderick. I figured it was better to just walk the 2 miles than to get brain damage riding in the back of that van. Halfway through the summer, I decided I was pretty much done with the swim team. So I came up with a trick to get out of practice. I'd swim a few laps, and then I'd ask the coach if I could use the bathroom. Then I'd just hide out in the locker room until practice was over. The only problem with my plan was that it was something like 0 degrees in the boys' bathroom. So it was even colder in there than it was in the pool. I had to wrap myself in toilet paper so I didn't get hypothermia. And here's an example of Greg looking like a mummy sitting on the toilet. That's how I spent a pretty big chunk of my summer holidays. And that's why I'm actually looking forward to going back to school tomorrow. Oh my god, that's how you know it's bad. Tuesday. When I got to school today, everybody was acting all strange around me, and at first I didn't know what was up. Then I remembered. I still had the cheese touch from last year. I got the cheese touch in the last week of school, and over the summer I completely forgot about it. The problem with the cheese touch is that you've got it until you can pass it on to somebody else, but nobody would even get within 30 feet of me. So I knew I was going to be stuck with the cheese touch for the whole school year. Luckily, there was a new kid named Jeremy Pindle in homeroom, so that took care of that problem. Oh no, poor Jeremy doesn't know what hit him. My first class was pre-algebra, and the teacher put me right next to Alex Aruda, the smartest kid in the whole class. Alex is super easy to copy from, because he always finishes his test early and puts his paper down on the floor next to him. So if I ever get in a pinch, it's nice to know that I can count on Alex to bail me out. Kids whose last names start with the first two letters of the alphabet get called on the most by the teacher, and that's why they always end up being the smartest. Some people think that's not true, but if you want to come down to my school, I can prove it. And here you have a comparison with Alex Aruda, who looks pretty smart, pretty knowledgeable, and poor Christopher Ziegel, who looks like maybe he's not as caught up in his studies. I can only think of one kid who broke the last name rule, and that's Peter Utega. Peter is the smartest kid in class all the way up until the 5th grade. That's when a bunch of us started giving him a hard time about how his initials sounded when you said them aloud. The answer to that question is poo, poo, yeah, poo, poo. Oh no, poor Peter. These days, Peter doesn't raise his hand at all. And he's pretty much a C student. Oh no. I guess I feel a little bad about the whole poo thing and what happened to Peter, but it's hard not to take credit whenever it comes up. I started that. Gosh, Greg. Anyway, today I got pretty decent seats in all my classes, except 7th period history. My teacher is Mr. Huff, and something tells me he had Roderick as a student a few years back. Mr. Huffley, you'll be sitting in this chair next to my desk. Oh no, Roderick's probably set a bad example for the whole family. Wednesday. Mum has been making me and Roderick help out more around the house, and now the two of us are responsible for doing dishes every night. The rule is that we're not allowed to watch any TV or play video games until all the dishes are done. But let me just say that Roderick is the worst dishes partner in the world. As soon as dinner is over, he goes upstairs to the bathroom and camps out there for an hour, and by the time he comes back downstairs, I'm already done. But if I ever complain to Mum and Dad, Roderick always pulls out the same lame excuse. My body's on a schedule. Not convincing, Roderick. I think Mum and Dad are too worried about my little brother, Manny, to get involved in a fight between me and Roderick right now anyway. Yesterday, Manny drew a picture at nursery and Mum and Dad got really upset when they found it in his backpack. Oh no, and his picture of poor little Manny getting in between this horrible argument. Oh. Mum and Dad thought the picture was supposed to be of them, so now they're acting all lovey-dovey in front of Manny. I love you so much, and I love you so much. Oh no. I knew who it really was supposed to be in the picture. Me and Roderick. We got into this big blowout over the remote control the other night, and Manny was there to witness the whole thing, but Mum and Dad don't need to find out about that. Thursday. Another reason my summer was kind of lame is because my best friend, Rowley, was on holiday pretty much the whole time. I think he went to South America or something, but to be honest with you, I'm not really sure. I don't know if this makes me a bad person or whatever, but it's hard for me to get interested in other people's holidays. Jeez, you should listen to your friends when they tell you things, Greg. And then we were gonna get on a boat and cruise down this river. Hey, have you ever noticed this freckle before? Besides, it seems like Rowley's family is always travelling to some crazy place in the world. I can never keep their trips straight. The other reason I don't care about Rowley's trips is because whenever Rowley comes back from one of his holidays, he always crams it down my throat. Last year, Rowley and his family went to Australia for 10 days, but from the way he acted when he got back, you'd think he'd lived there his whole life. He's probably dressed up as a safari ranger, I guess. G'day, mate! Greg does not look impressed. Another thing that's really annoying is that whenever Rowley goes to some new country, he gets into whatever fad is going on over there. Like, when Rowley got back from Europe 2 years ago, he got hooked on this pop singer named Joshi, who I guess is some huge star or something. So Rowley came back with his bags full of Joshi CDs and posters and stuff. I took one look at the picture on the CD and told Rowley that Joshi was supposed to be for 6-year-old girls, but he didn't believe me. Rowley said that I was just jealous because he was the one who discovered Joshi. And what made it really irritating was that now this guy was Rowley's new hero. So if I ever tried to say anything critical at all, Rowley didn't want to hear it. Joshi says you should respect your parents and follow your dreams. And Joshi is right, kids. Speaking of foreign countries, today in French class, Madame Leferre told us we're going to be choosing pen pals this year. When Roderick was in middle school, he had a 17-year-old girl from Holland as his pen pal. I know, because I've seen the letters in his junk drawer. When Madame Leferre handed out the forms, I made sure I checked off all the boxes that would get me a pen pal just like Roderick's. But after Madame Leferre read over my form, she made me start over and pick again. She said I had to choose a boy who was my age, and he has to be French, so I don't exactly have high hopes for my pen pal experience. And we have a comparison here between Roderick's pen pal, this pretty girl. I like the sunshiny days and ice cream, don't you too? And then we have Greg's pen pal, Je m'appelle Philippe, who doesn't look nearly as nice. Friday. Mum decided to start making Roderick pick me up after school, just like he picked me up after swimming practice. I guess that means she didn't learn from that experience, but I did. So when Roderick picked me up today, I asked him to please take it easy on the brakes. Roderick said okay, but then he went out of his way to find every speed bump in town. When I got out of the van, I called Roderick a big jerk, and then it got physical. Mum saw the whole thing unfold in front of the living room window. Mum made us come inside, and she sat us down at the kitchen table. She said me and Roderick were going to have to settle our differences in a civil manner. Mum told me and Roderick we each had to write down what we did wrong, and then we had to draw a picture to go along with it. And I knew exactly where Mum was going with that idea. Mum used to be a preschool teacher, and whenever a kid would do something wrong, she'd make him draw a picture of it. I guess the idea was to make the kid feel ashamed of what he did, so he wouldn't do it again. I will not break the crayons because it makes the other children sad. Oh, look how sad they are because he broke the crayons. That's such a mean thing to do. Well, Mum's idea might have worked great on a bunch of 4-year-olds, but she's going to have to think of something better if she wants me and Roderick to get along. And here we have Greg, who's drawn Roderick as a little baby. I will not call Roderick names. Bunny Rabbit. Wah! And then we have Roderick's I will not push Gregory. And there he is pushing Greg off a cliff into the jaws of a shark. Not very nice, Roderick. The truth is, Roderick can pretty much treat me any way he wants, because he knows there's nothing I can do about it. See, Roderick is the only one who knows about this really embarrassing thing that happened to me over the summer, and he's been holding it over my head ever since. So, if I ever tell him from anything, he'll spill my secret to the whole world. I just wish I had some dirt on him to even things out. I do know one embarrassing thing about Roderick, but I don't think it's going to do me any good. When Roderick was a sophomore, he was sick the day they did school photos, so Mum told Dad to mail in Roderick's freshman picture for the school to use in the yearbook. Don't ask me how Dad screwed this up, but he sent in Roderick's 2nd grade picture, and believe it or not, it actually got printed. And here's baby Roderick amongst all his peers. Oh no, that's quite embarrassing, isn't it? Unfortunately, Roderick was smart enough to rip that page out of his yearbook. So if I'm ever going to find something to use against him, I guess I'm going to have to keep digging. Wednesday. Ever since Mum assigned the dishes to me and Roderick, Dad's been going down to the furnace room after dinner to work on his miniature Civil War battlefield. Dad spends at least 3 hours a night down there working on that thing. I think Dad would be happy to spend his whole weekend working on his battlefield, but Mum has other plans for him. Mum likes to rent these romantic comedies, and she makes Dad watch them with her, but I know Dad is just waiting for the first chance to break away and go down to the basement again. Whenever Dad can't be down in the furnace room, he makes sure us kids stay away from it. Dad won't let me or Roderick go near his battlefield because he thinks we're going to mess something up. And earlier today, I overheard Dad say something to Manny to make sure he doesn't go poking around in there either.
I think I just heard some grunting noises coming from the furnace room. Oh no, poor Manny.
He's going to think there's a monster down there or something. Saturday. Rowley came over my house today. Dad doesn't like it when Rowley comes over because Dad always says Rowley is accident prone. I think it's because this one time Rowley was eating dinner here and he dropped a plate and broke it. So now Dad has this idea that Rowley's going to ruin his whole Civil War battlefield in one klutzy move.
We got Rowley here bouncing off a trampoline and crashing into Dad's Civil War battlefield's replica.
Oh no. Whenever Rowley comes over to my house these days, he gets the same greeting.
Basement is off limits. Yes, sir.
Rowley's dad doesn't like me either. That's why I don't go over to his house much anymore. The last time I spent the night at Rowley's, we watched these movies where some kids taught themselves a secret language that no grown-ups could understand.
Beagle, Bordle, Burp, Bop, Bork. Translation. At exactly 2:30 p.m., let's all drop our books on the floor.
Me and Rowley thought that was pretty cool, and we tried to figure out how to talk in the same language the kids were using in the movie. But we couldn't really get the hang of it, so we made up our own secret language. Then we tried it out at dinner.
Your pa, dad pa, smells pa like pa, a woman pa. Hee 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 hee.
Uh-oh. But Rowley's dad must have cracked our code. I think so. Because I ended up getting sent home before dessert, and I haven't been invited to spend the night at Rowley's ever since. When Rowley came over to my house today, he brought a bunch of pictures from his trip with him. He said the best part of his holiday was when he went on a river safari, and he showed me all these blurry pictures of birds and stuff. Now, I've been to Wild Kingdom Amusement Park a bunch of times, and they have this River Rapids ride where they have all these awesome robot animals like gorillas and dinosaurs. If you ask me, Rowley's parents should have just saved their money and taken him there instead.
Did you see any sharks fighting giant tarantulas on your safari? No, sharks don't fight tarantulas.
Well, at Wild Kingdom they do. But of course, Rowley didn't want to hear about my experiences, so he just gathered up his pictures and went back home. Tonight after dinner, Mum made Dad watch one of the movies she'd rented, but Dad really wanted to go and work on his Civil War battlefield. When Mum got up to go to the bathroom, Dad stuffed a bunch of pillows under the blanket on his side of the bed to make it look like he was asleep. Never works. Mum didn't find out about Dad's decoy until after the movie was over. She made Dad come to bed, even though it was only 8:30. Uh-oh, Dad's in trouble. And now, Manny sleeps in Mum and Dad's bed because he's afraid of the monster that lives in the furnace room. Oh no, Dad. Nothing went right there for him, did it? Well, that's just a little snippet of the first chapter of Diary of a Wimpy Kid Rodrick Rules. Keep on reading. It's a brilliant book, really funny, and I just think it's really great. I loved reading this book with my brother, and I loved watching the movies as well. Yeah, it's great. So keep reading. You're doing great. I believe in you, and have a good day, and I'll see you again. Bye-bye.